Hey, welcome aboard. Glad you could make it. This is Tumbleweed, the good guy with the black hat. Um, Welcome to Tumbleweed Talks. I invite you to certainly partake in my ramblings. Um, we're going to do something a little different today. It's the first of Tumbleweed's Tumblings, because tumbling is kind of what tumbleweeds did. Today we're going to talk about $1 trillion. Wow. Can you grasp how much $1 trillion is? Can you visualize what it might look like? Well, the next time you hear a politician use the word trillion in a casual manner, think about whether you really want that politician spending your money. Then think about trillion, which you hear increasingly from the hallowed halls of our government. Let's see. No, to truly grasp the number, it's got to be more than a fact that a trillion is 1,000 billion. Yeah. Even a billion is a difficult number to comprehend. By comparison, a trillion is mind boggling. So let's get some perspective. A billion seconds ago, it was 1976. A trillion seconds ago, which puts you at roughly 30,000 BC. Holy moly. A billion minutes ago, Jesus was alive. A billion hours ago, our ancestors were living in the Stone Age. A billion years ago, the Earth was pretty much a molten mass. And a trillion years ago, it's arguable some feel that the solar system that we're in didn't even exist. God hadn't made up his mind yet. Yet $1 billion was spent in less than 2 hours at the rate our federal government spending it. Now let's see. The U.S. national debt as of July 2018 is $21.3 trillion. I mean, it's hard to say. The gross domestic product is about $20.2 trillion. So the debt represents 105% of our gross domestic product, or GDP. Is that as bad as it seems? Well, politicians are quick to point out that Japan's thriving economy at 253% debt to GDP isn't so bad. But the Greek economy is in the tank at 177%. So you tell me. So long as we're dealing with horrifically large numbers, how about each of you citizens' federal debt liability being pegged at about 175,000? Oh, and there are the unfunded pension liabilities. That's about $6.3 trillion. Yeah. So, what does $1 trillion look like, physically speaking? I mean, these huge dollar numbers, they're tossed around like so many dog-eat treats. So I thought I'd take us out for a little test drive here and try to get a sense of exactly what $1 trillion looks like. So currently, the largest U.S. denomination in general circulation is something that looks like this. All right? Well, let's try it this way. $100 bill. Hey, we probably, most of us have, it's guaranteed to make friends wherever it goes. Now, a packet of 100 of these babies is less than half an inch thick and contains $10,000. Wow. Fits in your pocket pretty easily and is more than enough for a week or two of shamefully decadent fun. By comparison, $1 million, that's 100 packets of those half-inch $10,000 dealies, could be stuffed in a grocery bag or a briefcase and walked around with. Wow. While a measly $1 million looked a little unimpressive, frankly, 100 million is a little more respectable. It stacks neatly on a standard wooden pallet, about 3 feet high. Now, how about $1 billion? Oh, now we're starting to get somewhere. Yeah, that would require 10 of those $100 million pallets. Is this starting to get your attention? You know where we're going? Okay, I'm ready for a drum roll. Let's look at $1 trillion. Now, that's a number we've been hearing so much about. So let's look at it. What does it really look like? Are you ready for this? Ladies and gentlemen, Did you kind of grab that? There was that little fella down there in the lower left, and it took about 3 football fields worth of $100 bills on those pallet stacks 6 foot high to make $1 trillion. Holy moly. Whew. So the next time you hear someone toss around a phrase, $3 trillion, that's what they're looking like from a visual standpoint. The government will take in about 3.4 of those $1 trillion. Do the math. What's that, 9, 10 football fields? For fiscal year 2018, while spending roughly 4.2. Wait a minute, they're spending more than they're getting. So let's take it on from here. Where'd all that money come from? Well, look, I'll be honest, I'm going to have to read this to you and I don't think I can do it in one breath anymore. Accounts receivable tax, building permit tax, commercial driver's license tax, cigarette tax, corporate income tax, dog license tax, individual federal income tax, state income tax, multiple health care taxes, capital gains tax, business taxes, federal unemployment tax, Social Security and other payroll taxes, excise tax, energy tax, hunting license tax, inheritance tax, customs duties, estate and gift taxes, inventory tax. Oh, and there's a whole bunch more, getting down to building permit fees, workers' compensation tax. Are you laughing yet? Oh, and then there's another 23 taxes connected with the Affordable Health Care Law. Just to get perspective, none. Zero, nilch, nada, none of them. None of those taxes existed 100 years ago. And our nation is the most prosperous in the world. In fact, just 125 years ago, we hardly had any national debt. We had the largest middle class in the world. We were pretty much self-sufficient. Divorce was a rarity. Television was non-existent. Well, we're going to miss that. Twitter was what you felt when you were in love. And mom stayed home to raise and often homeschooled her kids. We didn't need bailouts or stimulus packages. The Federal Reserve didn't exist. The IRS didn't even exist. Paper money was backed by gold, and no nation messed with us. In fact, the government didn't mess with us very much at all. We weren't perfect, but arguably, we were in better shape than we were today. So, if you're ready to hyperventilate, take yourself over to usdebtclock.org. Billions, trillions, numbers keep rolling. They're so overwhelming, we become numb to them. We hear them bandied about in the media, but since we can't conceive of ever attaining those numbers ourselves, we tend to tune out the news. Should we? Well, there are idiots out there who want to give even more free stuff from the government to our citizens. All we need to do is get rid of spending on defense and tax billionaires more heavily. So aside from our enemies coming in and walking all over us, let's take away the sources of investment for the businesses that employ our workforce. Great idea, right? Putting aside that most billionaire wealth is tied up in investment in corporations, real estate, and the like, that's not taxable as income until you have a gain. Well, all the U.S. billionaires' net worth combined could barely put a dent in the national debt. For perverse fun, go ahead and say the words, $1 trillion. You got a grasp on that? Just